Welcome to channel. Today, we explore story filled with unexpected twists. Please, subscribe and like to stay updated. Let's begin. Is it advisable to marry after a year of dating, or should you wait a bit longer? This is not an easy choice, particularly if you think this person is your soulmate. However, destiny may be unexpected, so it's best to postpone marriage until you're completely certain. Andrew Parker was well known for his affable and approachable demeanor. Anyone who knew him could attest to this without doubt. He always smiled cheerfully, listened attentively, and provided words of encouragement when someone needed them. He was admired for his fast thinking, sense of humor, and acute intelligence. But those close to Andrew understood better than to press his buttons. Although he could typically endure a lot, when he reached his limit, he might get quite angry. Few people saw this side of him, but those who did realized they had to be cautious around him. Andrew freely confessed this to himself, often saying, "Yes, I'm dealing with this problem." Instead of paying a lot for university tuition, Andrew opted to work as a mechanic while attending evening sessions at a local community college to acquire a degree in business. His ultimate ambition was to start his own machining firm, focusing on producing high-quality stainless steel equipment for use in a variety of medical sectors. Andrew met Rachel Baker while attending one of these seminars. Rachel's parents thought that she should go with the flow of life and accept whatever destiny dealt her way. Rachel, on the other hand, recognized the critical role that education plays in establishing a good life. She opted to attend business classes, planning to start selling medications soon after graduation to make a steady income. Her ability to sell was clear. Rachel's attractive smile, piercing blue eyes, elegance, and gorgeous body drew the attention of others. She met Andrew on a wet evening after class. Andrew graciously handed Rachel his umbrella, and they walked together to the parking lot. As they cuddled beneath the umbrella, Rachel couldn't help but notice Andrew's looks. He was tall and strong, with long blonde hair and red stubble on his beard. Rachel thought as they walked through the rain, "Wow, he looks like a Norse deity." Rachel's seductive voice, lovely smile, dynamic attitude, and breathtaking form captivated Andrew. He relished every moment of their stroll together, contemplating ways to extend the pleasure of their encounter. But as it turned out, his suspicions were unfounded. By the time they arrived to Rachel's vehicle, she had already planned a lunch date for the following day and asked him to a quiet party on Saturday. Their dinner date demonstrated their match in personality and interests, but it was the spark they felt that Saturday night that cemented their relationship. They quickly became inseparable, meeting 4 or 5 times each week. Hiking, cycling, tennis, and kayaking were among their favorite forms of physical activity. However, even simple activities such as shared meals and lovemaking provided them with equal joy. Andrew was certain Rachel was the one for him, and he couldn't wait to live with her for the rest of his life. Rachel felt the same way, thus they both agreed to marry. With her parents' financial help, they planned a traditional garden ceremony followed by a luncheon for 150 guests. The event included an open bar, supper, a DJ, and dancing. Andrew's parents, who lived far away, had a restricted budget and hence were unable to fully engage in the wedding preparations. However, they set aside $7,500 to cover the bar and purchase Andrew's tuxedo. Andrew nominated his elder brother, Michael, as best man and invited his lifelong pals James Cooper and Jake Ross. Rachel picked Emily Green, her closest friend, as her bridesmaid, along with Olivia Scott and Sophia Reed. Michael, who lived near to Andrew, was both his brother and a close friend. Michael, a strong, tall bricklayer, stayed in good form during the day by lifting and putting bricks, masonry, and landscaping stones. Before the wedding, Michael and his wife Laura, who were expecting their second child at the time, asked Andrew to visit them. When Andrew arrived after work on his Yamaha, Michael greeted him with a baby monitor in his hands. He welcomed his brother and inquired how he was. "Have you thought about getting rid of this dangerous motorcycle once you marry Rachel? We don't want her taking care of someone who might end up injured for the rest of his life, do we?" Michael was curious. "Let's put the motorcycle talk aside for now, buddy. I needed to relieve stress, especially with all the chaos around the wedding preparations. It seems to me I can't say much, and am not privy to most of the details. All I know is that I'm in charge of the bar, and they're doing everything else, except our tuxedos. Have they fitted yours yet? You might need custom tailoring unless they've recently outfitted a football team," Andrew joked. "Oh, very funny. They'll take the measurements next week. In the meantime, am racking my brain for ideas for your lavish bachelor party with Jason and Blake. And how are you and Rachel doing? Mike said, everything is going smoothly, and lately, our bond has become stronger than ever, responded Andrew. Rachel just can't seem to stop. She explains it as pre-wedding nerves, saying that intimacy is her main source of relaxation. And who am I to object? Andrew let out a giggle. But it's getting too much for me. I have a 3-year-old who constantly worries me and a wife who is 7 months pregnant and under stress. I absolutely don't need to hear about your bedroom antics right now. I can barely keep my balance, and if I'm lucky, they'll be able to be with my wife so she doesn't get too tired, says Michael. Michael, that's too much. You've crossed a line that no future married guy wants to hear, Andrew told him. But don't worry, in just 17 years, you'll have plenty of free time to relive your youth with your wife, just like Rachel and I did last weekend. That's enough. I'd like to ask you to do something for me, Michael said. He gave Andrew the 2-piece baby monitor he had brought with him. This thing has stopped working, he complained. I even changed the batteries in it, but I don't know what's wrong. You're our host, and I know you can fix anything, so I thought I'd ask you before buying a new one. No problem, Andrew said. They'll be home early. There's probably no one there yet, so I can take a look at it now. Andrew jumped onto his Yamaha and drove away. He and Rachel leased a 3-bedroom home. After parking the motorbike in the garage, he positioned it beneath the back overhang to shield it from the anticipated rain. When he entered the home, it was obvious that Rachel had not yet returned. He immediately connected the main monitor to the wall and headed down to the basement, where he had set up a small workstation. There, he checked the portable receiver and located the problem, a damaged wire leading to the speaker. Andrew rewired everything in 6 minutes and everything was back in working order. Just as he was ready to go upstairs, he heard the door open via the baby monitor. He recognized Rachel's voice as she arrived and knew she was talking on the phone. Listening over the monitor, he could plainly hear her part of the discussion. Then he heard something that completely wrecked his universe. Jason, Andrew isn't home right now, and he probably won't be back for an hour. Can you take me somewhere private so we can be alone? Rachel begged. The wedding is just around the corner, and our opportunities to be together are dwindling. Please hurry up and fulfill my wish. Andrew could not hear Jason's response, but Rachel's remarks knocked the wind out of him, forcing him to stagger and collapse. This cannot be happening. How could she deceive me with a seemingly nice friend 3 weeks before our wedding? This is unbearable, Andrew thought to himself. He returned to their conversation when he heard Rachel say, No, Jason, I'm not ruling out the possibility of continuing the relationship after the wedding. It takes time to think about it. Now I'm not against this idea because our feelings are not based on love, but only on physical attraction. I allow myself a little freedom before tying the knot. But if we still want to continue this, we must be careful and circumspect. I can't let Andrew find out the truth. Andrew's heart pounded. His mind raced. Is she in love with me too much? She loves me, but is she sleeping with a friend? His gut twisted into knots. After a minute of quiet, Rachel said, Okay, Jason, they'll be waiting for you outside. Pick me up, and we'll meet in the back seat. Andrew was astonished. He couldn't believe what he heard. The future he had pictured with Rachel, one full of love, children, and growth, was wrecked in an instant. He couldn't believe she could betray him, particularly at such a critical time in their relationship, immediately before their wedding, when their love was meant to be at its zenith. I assumed she would never do this. How could she? Andrew's thoughts began to spin. Maybe I was mistaken about everything. I can't keep on like this with someone I love but don't trust. With a sad heart, Andrew mounted the steps. Looking out the window, he saw his erstwhile buddy Jason arrive in his black Challenger. Rachel hurried to the vehicle, leaped into the seat, and kissed Jason before they drove away. Andrew's anger increased as he watched them go. Without hesitation, he took a tire iron from the garage, mounted on his Yamaha, and followed them from a distance. He was determined to figure out what was actually going on. After crossing many junctions, they drove onto a county route that led out of town. The city was encircled by a large park with hills and a lake, where many parking lots were built. Andrew and his companions were acquainted with a remote place surrounded by woods and accessible by a meandering road that skirted the forest. Andrew was certain this was their goal. He parked his motorbike on the side of the road and waited 10 minutes to give them a head start. After gathering his breath, he followed them into the parking lot. As he wandered through the surrounding forests, he finally came to their vehicle. He took out his phone and started silently filming as he made his way to the rear of the truck. Andrew could identify what was going on inside based on the noises that came through the glass. His heart hammered as he watched the event play out, knowing the truth. Rachel's voice burst through the tension. "Jason, I want it." Andrew's rage bubbled over. He leaped to his feet and yelled out the glass. "This is insane." Rachel and Jason were both taken aback by the outburst, which occurred in a potentially embarrassing circumstance. Rachel, laying back, pleaded Jason, "Oh my God, no. Jason, stop. This is crazy. You can't do this." Andrew could see she was attempting to deflect responsibility away from herself. Jason, on the other hand, attempted to explain. "Andrew, it's not what you think. There's nothing wrong here. She loves you, not me. It's just a harmless pre-wedding distraction." Jason choked back tears. Andrew couldn't control his feelings any longer. With a howl of anguish, he hoisted the tire iron over his head and cracked the back glass. Jason, shocked, attempted to open the door, but Andrew said, "If you get out of that car, you're in serious trouble." His eyes were filled with wrath. Jason, understanding the risk, remained inside the vehicle. Without hesitation, Andrew circled the automobile and smashed the glass with the tire iron. The safety glass cracked into sharp bits, which sparkled in the sunshine. He ripped off the mirrors and collided with the headlights while turning around. He then proceeded to the opposite side, scraping the tire iron over the car's surface to reveal the bare metal underneath. With a fast, strong movement, he shattered the backside glass. Finally, he returned his attention to Jason. Jason attempted to flee, but Andrew unlocked the door and grabbed him outside by his hair. Andrew threw several strong punches, knocking Jason back. Rachel hid in the back seat, as far away from the open door as possible, her eyes filled with worry and shame. She cried in between tears, "Please, Andrew, forgive me. Please forgive me. It doesn't mean anything. We can get through this. Get married, baby. I love you. Jason is just a distraction. He doesn't mean anything to me. Please take me home, and he'll prove to you that I only love you." Andrew screwed his face in disdain as he stared at her, then at Jason. "You're a disgrace, Rachel. And you, Jason, are no better," said the man. "I am shocked that you would betray me like this. Sleep with my fiancée, pretend to be my friend, and think you deserve to be at my wedding? This is a huge mistake. I never want to see either of you again. If I do, it'll make you regret it." His voice was filled with disgust as he continued, "How could you betray me like that? I thought our love was unbreakable, but now I see it was just a lie. I can't even look at you. Don't come near me." Rachel started crying, her heart hurting as she implored, "Andrew, please let me explain everything. I love you. I belong to you. Please don't leave me." Andrew reacted coldly, "I really only loved you, Rachel. I don't want to hear any more excuses." With that, he returned to his Yamaha and sped away, leaving her stranded. As he glanced back, he saw Rachel on her knees, tears flowing down her cheeks, her hands covering her eyes. Meanwhile, Jason lay on the ground, surrounded by shards of glass and paint from his beloved Challenger. Andrew raced his Yamaha to an unknown location, the wind blowing in his face and the road ahead undetermined. It took some time, but he ultimately regained consciousness and arrived to his brother Michael's place. Michael heard the Yamaha roar and opened the door to see Andrew seated on the stairs, tears flowing down his cheeks. It seemed as if his whole universe had fallen. When Andrew poured out his heart to Michael, the older brother sat beside him, hugged him, and said, "Wow, I'm amazed, little brother. This is a tough situation. I never imagined something like this could happen. It's unbelievable how we misjudged Rachel's character. I didn't see this side of her. I'm really sorry, Andrew. If I run into Jason, I'll make sure he's held accountable for what he did. But I think we should be thankful that you found out now rather than years ago." Michael went on, "What do we do next? One thing's for sure, there's no need to prepare for the wedding. I'll let Blake know, and he'll call our parents to cancel their travel plans. I'm not going to marry a woman who betrayed me before we even exchange vows. I feel like this marriage is doomed from the start, and I won't spend my life constantly wondering if my wife is cheating on me. Trying to justify infidelity for purely physical reasons is absurd." At that point, Andrew's phone buzzed, displaying many missed calls, a voicemail from Rachel, and a missed call from an unknown number. He ignored Rachel's call and left it on voicemail. Just as he was going to switch off his phone, he got another call from an unknown number. "Hello, is this Andrew Parker?" the voice inquired. "Yes. Who's calling?" Andrew said warily. "This is Victor from the main precinct. We've received a report of assault and property damage from Jake Ross, and he's accusing you of being responsible. You need to report to us in the next half hour, or I will issue a warrant for your arrest and place you on the wanted list. A patrol car is already waiting for you at your house. It's in your best interest to cooperate and come in for questioning." Andrew glanced at Michael, murmuring quietly, "Damn, I'm in trouble." He then answered to the officer, "Okay, officer, they'll be there soon. Should I bring a lawyer with me?" The law enforcement officer responded, "Generally, today you'll meet with the judge, and you can decide if you need a lawyer. But given the severity of the damage to the car and the fact that Jake Ross was hospitalized with a broken jaw, it's advisable to have a lawyer with you. If you have one, bring them with you to the station. If not, one will be provided. But don't delay." Michael overheard the talk and instantly contacted his buddy Kevin, whom he had known since high school. "Kevin, my brother's in trouble for assault and property damage. He'll be at the main precinct in 30 minutes. Can you go there and help him?" Mike requested. Andrew was then given a promise. "They'll be there to help as soon as we figure this out. Let Kevin handle the talking. Stay calm, and we'll get you out of this. You should have just filmed the situation and saved the revenge for later, but I understand the impulse. If I were in your shoes, I might have lost my temper too. But let's not dwell on what's already happened. We're here now, and we need to find a solution." The following morning, Michael went to pick up Andrew from the station. After spending the night in detention, Andrew went before a judge. As predicted, he was told he could pay $15,000 bond or stay in detention. Kevin advised that Andrew apologize to Jason, make apologies, and pay Jason's medical fees, but Andrew firmly refused. When Andrew arrived home, Rachel was no longer present. He packed his belongings and moved into his brother's spare bedroom. Before departing, he also took the baby monitor with him, joking to Michael, "It works great. Maybe it helped keep me out of trouble." A week had gone, and Andrew had yet to return Rachel's calls or voicemails. He listened with dread to her texts, which were full of excuses and downplayed the issue. She first claimed that Jason was manipulating her, and that she only intended to kiss him one more before truly dedicating herself to Andrew as a dedicated wife. Andrew knew that wasn't the case based on their phone chat. In subsequent texts, she argued that Jason had no worth to her, although admitting to have met him before. She seemed nervous and apprehensive about giving her life to just one guy, implying a desire for one last moment of independence before committing to marriage. Despite her assurances that she would remain loyal after they were married, Andrew was not persuaded by her justifications. In her final message, she appealed, "Our wedding is only 3 weeks away. Please, we need to talk and decide everything. I love you, Andrew, and I'm really sorry for what I did and the hurt I caused. I'm also in unbearable pain because I can't stand the thought of losing you. I've learned from my mistake, and I promise I will never hurt you again. Please, Andrew, don't give up on us. We have to overcome this and get married anyway." Andrew felt sick at the prospect of continuing their plans, but he knew he had to speak with her and her parents one final time about perhaps canceling or delaying the wedding. Despite his feelings for her, he was split between ending things permanently and attempting to restore their relationship. However, the wedding in 3 weeks no longer looked feasible. As he considered how to bring it up, his thoughts were interrupted by a tap on the door. Andrew was astounded to find Chloe standing on the threshold. After receiving the news, she embraced him hard, showing her sorrow. Pulling away, he couldn't help but notice her outfit. She was wearing considerably shorter shorts than he was accustomed to seeing. Andrew groaned and suggested they chat in the backyard. When they were sitting at the picnic table, he inquired, "Did Rachel explain what happened?" Chloe nodded to acknowledge that she had been given the truth. "Andrew, Rachel cares deeply for you, and she's in a bad place right now. She's tormented by the thought that her actions have hurt you and put your future together at risk. She's asked me to be here to help make things right. She wants to resolve this so you can move forward without any lingering resentment before the wedding. I'm here on her behalf to make sure you're feeling heard and that you get the closure you need." Andrew was caught aback by Chloe's approach, since she had misinterpreted Rachel's motive. He was unhappy that Rachel had sent Chloe to attempt to make things better, but Chloe did not seem to mind. Despite his internal struggle, Andrew forced a grin and said, "Chloe, let me buy you a drink. He'll be right back." As he went, he began to consider how he might use the circumstance to his advantage. When Andrew returned with a beverage, he gulped it before responding, "Chloe, I'm not sure this is going to solve everything. One of my biggest problems right now is the trial that's coming up in just a few weeks. I could end up behind bars either before or after the wedding. Besides, there won't be a honeymoon, and I'm not allowed to leave town. You know about the charges and what happened with Jason and his car, right? Chloe's expression expressed astonishment and bewilderment. Yes, Rachel told me about everything. She was really surprised to hear you'd reacted like that. No one could have predicted this side of you. Andrew nodded. Yeah, I lost control of my emotions, and it got out of hand. But I think you and Rachel will help me get through it. Chloe said, We'll do whatever we can to help, Andrew. You know that. Andrew said, My lawyer tried to reach a deal with Jason, offered to cover his car expenses and medical bills in exchange for him dropping the charges. But he turned it down. Maybe you or Rachel can change his mind. If you speak to him, he might agree. It would mean a lot to me if you could try. Chloe responded, If Rachel doesn't mind, I'll help. I'd rather be with you than with Jason, but if it helps mend your relationship with Rachel, I'm willing to try. I've always thought he seemed like a good guy, and I'm sure we could work something out. Andrew cringed at the mention of Jason, but then rose up, grabbed Chloe, and kissed her on the cheek. Thank you. I'll leave the details to you. After that, he texted Rachel, saying that Chloe would fill her in on the idea and asking for her feedback. Meanwhile, back home, Rachel confided in her old friend Emma about the wedding's uncertain status. Emma, who had been friends with Rachel since childhood and had become close to Andrew, was outraged. Rachel, how could you do this to Andrew? You promised me that you'd stop this behavior once you got engaged, and now you're saying you'll stop once you're married? I don't believe you. Emma felt irritated. Rachel offered a defense. It was just a moment of weakness to relieve my pre-wedding stress, Emma. I panicked when faced with the thought of committing to one person for the rest of my life, and I made a rash decision. I didn't realize how much it would hurt Andrew until I saw the pain on his face. It really affected me. Emma, Rachel's longtime friend, couldn't help but observe that Rachel seemed more concerned with her personal sentiments than Andrew's. Rachel felt bad for generating difficulty and hurting Andrew and Jason, but she did not regret her actions. Emma was thinking, you are unworthy of someone like Andrew. Despite her inner anguish, Emma kept her feelings to herself. Chloe approached the room with news of Andrew's intentions. Rachel and Chloe agreed that they needed to discuss the problem with Jason. Rachel said, Chloe, you're going to have to handle this on your own. Andrew will never allow me to be involved again. Chloe told Rachel, don't worry. I'll make sure he doesn't focus on me. I've got this covered. Rachel then looked at Emma and responded, it looks like you'll need to talk to Andrew. This way, he will see we are on equal footing, and I can show him that our past mistakes are behind us. Will you do this for me, Emma? You're my bridesmaid and my closest friend. I would have done the same for you if the situation were reversed. Emma reluctantly accepted, but only on condition that Jason dismissed the accusations and the wedding go place within 2 days. Chloe and Jason successfully addressed their concerns, prompting Jason to drop his complaint. Meanwhile, Rachel continued to try to contact Andrew, leaving voicemails in which she apologized for her behavior and sought for his forgiveness, hoping that they might begin arranging the wedding. She also hoped Emma might help smooth things down with Andrew. Andrew was torn. He realized it would be inappropriate to marry Rachel under these circumstances, but he still loved for her. He felt awful about the potential financial consequences for her family if the wedding was canceled. Damn it, Andrew said, wondering what to do. I need to hear her perspective and figure out why she did this. He thought to himself, hesitantly dialing her phone, attempting to keep his emotions under control. When she responded, Rachel replied, Dear, I'm so sorry that things have turned out this way and that you're so upset. Please believe me when I say that you had nothing to do with this. You're the perfect partner, and I love you more than anything in the world. I want to be your wife and devote myself to you forever. I know this must hurt, and I want to explain everything to you. Andrew's voice was full with anguish. Rachel, we need to talk about what happened. You say you love me, but how can I trust you again after this? How many times has this happened? Do you value our commitment, especially now that we're engaged? How can I move forward when I feel betrayed? Rachel said, Andrew, it only happened once. But it wasn't about the other man. It was a way for me to say goodbye to my single life before committing to you. I promise it won't happen again. You mean everything to me, and no one else compares to you. Please believe me. Andrew took a big breath. Rachel, the problem is I find it hard to trust you. How could you do this to me? You say you love me, but you were involved with someone else. What happens when we're married? Will I always be wondering if you'll do this again? Gently replied Rachel. Andrew, my relationships with other men meant nothing. What we have is the most important thing to me. I want to be with you. It was just a physical thing, nothing more. It won't change what we share. Please come home, and I'll show you how much I love you. Andrew's voice wavered. Rachel, it's hard for me to accept this. It feels like you're willing to keep living this way. Do you want an open marriage? I love you, but I can't live in constant doubt. Andrew, I want to be with you, and only you. Even if you don't agree to this, I promise I'll be a faithful wife. I love you, and I want our future together. I promise to be a faithful wife. Andrew was heartbroken. Rachel, your actions have shattered my trust in you. It feels like my heart has been ripped out. I feel incredibly confused right now. Every time I think of you, I can't help but feel that you've been dishonest with me. How does this betrayal align with the promises we were supposed to make to each other on our wedding day? How many times has this happened, and how many more times could it happen in the future? No matter what you say in your defense, I find it difficult to. Andrew hesitated for a time, his voice full with passion. Rachel, I need some space to think. I can't keep doing this if I'm constantly questioning everything. I need to step away before my anger leads me to say things they'll regret later. They'll contact you when I'm ready. Your actions have made me rethink everything. Andrew stopped the conversation, feeling disoriented and sad. Andrew rushed outdoors, hoping for some fresh air to clear his thoughts. The prospect of an open relationship had shattered his faith in their bond. It became evident that if they married, she would probably deceive him again. The idea of a perfect life together suddenly seemed remote and impossible. The wedding, just 3 weeks away, seemed like a deception. As he sat with his thoughts, Emma's call jolted him out of his wrath. Hey, Andrew, I'm heading to Michael's. Want to come for a ride with me? Emma floated the idea. Andrew sighed, apprehensive but agreeable. Sure, Emma. I'll be right there. As they traveled, Andrew told Emma about everything that had been bothering him, showing her the video and expressing his bewilderment. Emma parked in a grocery lot distant from the other vehicles and turned to face him. Andrew, I need to talk to you about something important. I want you to know that I value our friendship and really admire the kind of person you are. Rachel is making a huge mistake, and she's being selfish. She's only thinking of herself. She even suggested something to me that, well, it was completely wrong. She thought that I could fix things by getting involved in a way that I could never agree with. Emma, this is unbelievable, Andrew said, reaching for the door, his irritation rising. But Emma stopped him. Andrew, please, just hear me out. I respect you too much to let something like that happen. I would never try to manipulate you or take advantage of the situation. And to be honest, I don't think you should get back together with Rachel. She's only going to hurt you again, and I can't stand the thought of seeing you go through this again. Andrew sat quietly and listened intently. You don't think I should get back with her? Why? What do you think I should do? Emma took a big breath, her voice becoming quieter. Andrew, my feelings for you have changed. They've grown beyond just friendship. I think I might be falling for you, and I want you to know that I'm not saying this to sway you. I just want you to see that you have options. After Rachel, there are other people who will appreciate you for who you are, and I believe you deserve someone who will make you happy and never betray you. I just want you to know how special you are. After Rachel, there will be other women, whether it's me or someone else, who will see what an amazing person you are. I'm telling you this so that you can see the possibilities for your future and not stay with Rachel. She was unfaithful to you at all stages of your relationship, not just with Jason. For her, being with other men is as insignificant as drinking or dancing with someone else. You may be dear to her, but she will never love you the way you deserve. Andrew, it's time to focus on your well-being and not worry about her family or the wedding guests. It's your decision, and remember, I will always support you no matter what choice you make. She started the automobile motor, and they drove quietly to Michael's home. When they arrived, she turned to Andrew and said, Make a wise choice, Andrew. Believe that there is someone who can love you the way you deserve. Andrew saw tears in her eyes as she drove away. 2 hours later, Andrew was preparing a letter and reviewing the list of 100 wedding guests. The letter was headed, Rachel Baker to all of our close friends, family, and valued wedding guests. We just sent out wedding invites that celebrated Rachel and my unending love and dedication. We wanted you to join us in celebrating the start of our journey together, not just as lovers, but also as mutual supporters, closest confidants, and life partners. This, in my view, represents the fundamental core of marriage. But lately, I realized that Rachel sees things differently than I imagined. I hate to confess it, but Rachel likes an open relationship, something she had never expressed before. To my astonishment, I discovered that Rachel not only cheated on me with my good friend Jake Ross, but she also had intimate encounters with several other men while we were dating and engaged. I saw Rachel and Jason in a compromising scenario, and despite having evidence of their adultery, I chose not to expose them or degrade myself by discussing it. However, the betrayal I observed was etched in my mind as an obvious indication of duplicity and adultery. It wasn't innocent flirtation or embraces, but direct physical behaviors that showed a disregard for the sanctity of our relationship. I understood Rachel didn't love me as much as I deserved. I think that a life partner should appreciate our love, treat it as a beautiful gift, be honest and trustworthy, and share only the emotional and physical closeness that strengthens our marriage. I've always aimed to provide my spouse with this degree of dedication and more. It's evident that Rachel and I aren't compatible. I took the painful choice to stop our engagement, relationship, and wedding preparations with mixed feelings of loss and relief. I'm heartbroken by the death of someone who was very close to me and whom I felt the same way about. But I am also pleased that I discovered early on that Rachel and I had diametrically opposed beliefs on relationships, sparing me from many years of possible pain. I'm thankful that I was able to avoid a disastrous marriage. I regret to Rachel's family, who may be unaware of her actual character and the recent events that led to her decision. I believe Rachel is the one who should apologize to everyone concerned in this incident. I hate having to break the news to her in this way, particularly given the generosity her family has shown me. But I believe Rachel needs to grasp the value of honesty and accountability for her actions. I will not allow myself to be viewed as someone who denied marriage. Thus, I believe it is vital to explain the situation. To everyone who is lucky enough to be in loving and respectful marriages, I appreciate what brings you together, and I hope to develop such a connection for myself one day. For those who are free or considering starting a new relationship, I highly advise caution and cautious partner selection. And when you meet the proper person, treat them with respect, love, trust, and loyalty. With kind regards, Andrew Parker. As predicted, a tremendous reaction erupted shortly after the letter was delivered. Rachel's parents frantically phoned Andrew and threatened to sue him for the wedding deposit. Andrew responded, "Did you teach Rachel that loyalty and devotion have no value in marriage? Is this what you do in your own relationship? Do you approve of Rachel's actions? Maybe it's you or Rachel who should be responsible for a failed wedding and financial losses, but it definitely shouldn't be on me." It seemed to have resolved the conflict, at least inside her family. Rachel launched a volley of scathing emails on Andrew, chastising him for his lack of intelligence and stubbornness while arguing that genuine love can conquer any obstacle. She forcefully announced her wish to end her relationship with him, feeling embarrassed and humiliated, refusing to have anything more to do with him, and urging him to go. As a consequence, Rachel lost the trust of her family and friends. Instead of drawing prospective serious suitors hoping for a long-term commitment, she drew mainly those wanting for casual short-term experiences or one-night stands. After a time, Chloe opened out to Andrew, confessing that Rachel started to realize the magnitude of her loss after trading genuine love for an empty romance. Jason often got into confrontations in the city. When he ran into Michael or one of Andrew's buddies, he was rejected by his normal friends and acquaintances, and he eventually chose to go west. Meanwhile, Andrew experienced embarrassment, animosity, and unpleasant discussions after sending the letter and canceling his wedding. Despite the pandemonium, Andrew took consolation in his family's unwavering support, particularly when they discovered that he had turned down Rachel's invitation to rejoin via a sexual connection with her bridesmaid. The most significant turning moment came in Andrew's friendship with Emma, who, like him, had been spurned by Rachel. Andrew and Emma first sought solace in one another's presence as they dealt with the emotional agony of losing relationships and close friends. Their friendship grew into a deep love and commitment that they both deserved. Their marriage would be robust and long-lasting, characterized by a great feeling of trust and commitment. Their journey together promised a life filled of love, friendship, and devotion, which would only grow stronger with each day. When Rachel learned of Andrew and Emma's imminent wedding, she drove straight to Andrew's home in a state of panic, wielding a tire iron and destroying his Yamaha, reducing it to a scrap of metal. Rachel was eventually transported to the police station. No one could stop her cries or her vulgar words, therefore she was sentenced to 6 months in jail. Thanks for watching. If you love this exciting and dramatic narrative, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more riveting stuff. Did Andrew make the correct choice by canceling the wedding, or should he have given Rachel another chance? Please share your ideas in the comments below.